Delegates, of course, this is your most favourite time of the day, and your most favourite time of conference. Before I start, I'd just like to say, welcome you all those people who have been attending conferences down to the years, and those people who are new to conference. I see a few new faces, never seen before. Des commented about the age profile when he looked down yesterday, and I'll comment on it today. There's still a few old faces there, all right, but there's a lot of young people here, and there's a lot of young blood here, and they're coming up to the podium and they're putting forward their motions, and it is the lifeblood of the association, and long may it continue, and long may we continue to recruit that quality of person to come into our organisation, and well done. Talking about recruitment and about recognition, I want to pay particular tribute to Nazra, Mick Dixon and Tony Gregg for their continued and valiant efforts to promote their cause and their justified expectations of what it means to be in the ambulance service. And I wish them well, and they're under our umbrella, and long may they continue to do so. And you're most welcome, lads. Thanks very much for attending. Now, I've been coached to do this professionally, so I'll do my best. Delegates, colleagues and guests, welcome to this, our 45th annual delegate conference in the beautiful surroundings of the Slieve Russell Hotel in Cavan. I also want to wish and extend a warm welcome to our colleagues from IFESA and NASRA. Unfortunately, we have no government. I don't know, is it unfortunate, but we have no government formed, hence we have no minister in attendance. He's busy coordinating other things. I hope he's as good with that as he was with health. In this, the centenary anniversary of those brave Irish men and women who sacrificed their lives to declare the proclamation of the Provisional Government of the Irish Republic, which guaranteed, and I quote, equal rights and equal opportunities to all its citizens, cherishing all the children of the nation equally. 100 years on, can we say this is true for those adults and children suffering from mental health problems or intellectual disability? I say not. In 1916 and throughout most of the 20th century, those citizens with a mental illness were treated in institutions that were poorly maintained and overcrowded. In 1984, we saw the first major government policy on mental health, Planning for the Future, which was to revolutionise the delivery of mental health services in Ireland. It proposed the reduction of beds in the psychiatric hospitals to be replaced by community services. However, it was used as a cost-cutting exercise, with the bed numbers in the psychiatric hospitals being drastically reduced with the minimum development of community services. This resulted in many people with mental illnesses living in homeless accommodation or finishing up in prison. In 1984, the mental health budget was 14% of the overall health budget. This has been whittled away year by year and is now less than a meagre 6%. This is disgraceful and totally unacceptable, and clearly proclaims that all our citizens are not treated equally. 10 years ago, in 2006, the government published its new policy on mental health, A Vision for Change. Once again, as is patently shown by our own research, it has not delivered on sufficient development of community services. This policy has also been used as a cost-cutting measure with further reduction of beds without providing the necessary community services as an alternative. Our own research, your own research, which you have provided, which has been assimilated and put forward, our own research on the implementation or non-implementation of A Vision for Change 10 years on has clearly supported this. There is no properly resourced intensive care rehab units, ICRUs, where there should be 4 regional units, that is 2 15-bedded units per region, a total of 120 beds nationally. 75% of respondents indicated they do not have fully resourced community teams to ensure home-based treatment is a key service deliverer. 79% of respondents indicated they do not have an assertive outreach team. The reduction of admission beds without the provision of a comprehensive 24-hour community-based service has resulted in overstretched, overcrowded admission units, often at 120% occupancy rate. Our units have a high number of patients with enduring mental illness, some with difficult-to-manage behaviours, occupying acute admission beds. Some of these patients have been in the admission units for 2 years and more often restricted by being prescribed one-to-one special nursing OBS. This is grossly unfair and unacceptable that this client group are not provided with appropriate therapeutic care. A number of these clients should be cared for in a NICRO. However, these beds have not been provided as per Vision for Change. As stated, bed occupancy in our acute admission unit is often at 120%, resulting in the endemic practice of pass beds. As I am sure you all know, this is a situation where there are 50 admission beds with 55, possibly 60 patients. Patients are sent home on leave for a night or a weekend. However, their bed is then often occupied by a new admission, often resulting in the patient who is on leave being phoned in the late evening asking him to stay at home for another night as there is no bed for them to return to. This is a deplorable practice and needs to cease immediately. In effect, we have bed numbers reduced with no 24-hour community services in place. The majority of our home-based services operate on a 9-to-5 basis, sometimes only a 5-day service. A number of our day hospitals are hybrids of a day hospital, stroke day centre, stroke outpatient clinic, sometimes provided by a different community nurse each day, thus providing no continuity of care or sufficient therapeutic interventions. Our day hospitals need to specialise in delivering treatment for those with an acute mental illness as an alternative to hospital admission. We need the provision of comprehensive 24-hour community-based services for those with an acute mental illness, incorporating a crisis house, home-based and day hospital treatment. For those with an enduring mental illness, we are witnessing the closure of hostels and day centres. The HSE call this service development. I call it cost-cutting and service restriction. Last year, we saw the closure of the day centre, the only mental health day facility in Ballymun, Dublin. This was replaced by what is described as a hub and spoke model. The hub, based on the North Circular Road, is 2 bus journeys from Ballymun, and the spoke, the provision of an occasional group programme, 1 to 2 hours per week in the Ballymun area. The PNA strenuously opposed this development of removing the only mental health day facility from vulnerable clients in a socially disadvantaged area. The clients and their families also opposed this move to the extent they picketed outside the premises. However, despite all the concerns raised and opposition to this development, management proceeded to close the centre. The Mental Health Division Operational Plan 2016 outlines one of its key achievements for 2015, working with service users to design, plan and inform improvements to the mental health services. It also goes on to say the National Service Plan 2016 identifies service user experience as one of the key quality priorities in 2016, including both listening to people who use our services, including families and carers, and empowering people to be at the centre of service delivery. In relation to the Ballymun Day Centre, this has been shown to be nothing more than tokenism. In our experience, for clients and family to picket outside the centre they wish to be retained is unprecedented and is to be applauded. Absolutely. However, as is their way, despite this, the HSE were not for turning. As predicted, the uptake by clients of the new development is minuscule. Our information indicates that only 5 out of the 28 day centre clients are engaged in the new development. resulting in the remainder spending most of their time in the isolation of their own home with no appropriate centre for them to attend in their own area. This is a disgrace. The HSE would advocate that county councils should provide houses and the HSE provide the mental health services for the occupants. This model has been used to close hostels in the services. This is all well and good in theory. However, we are in the middle of the most severe housing crisis in the history of the state, so the prospect of clients accessing council houses has drastically diminished. Our research has shown there are virtually no outreach services, and those in existence are not nearly adequately resourced in line with Vision for Change, that is 14 nurses per 100,000 catchment area. Until fully resourced outreach teams are in place, we must resist the closure of any more of our hostels or services for those with an enduring mental illness. There are now incidences where families are using the non-implementation of Vision for Change to complain against frontline nurses for not providing services as outlined in Vision for Change, that is, non-provision of after-hours services, hostels, etc. I wish to commend our Research and Development Advisor, Ms Aisling Culhane, for all her hard work in conducting this very valuable research in conjunction with Mr Thomas Kearns of the Royal College of Surgeons of Ireland. I would also like to thank all our branch officials and regional reps for all their hard work and commitment in providing the information for the research. Thank you, lads. Very much appreciated, and I thank you. At a forum held in January entitled Policies and Mental Health Reform, organised by the Mental Health Reform, a panel of 7 politicians representing the larger political parties and independents, all committed to making mental health a priority if elected, and vowed to increase the mental health budget. These sentiments were also echoed in the Primetime Leaders debate in February, where once again all party leaders committed to prioritising mental health. I am now calling on the new government, when it will be formed, to deliver on those promises and increase the mental health budget to a minimum of 12% of the health budget in line with the UK, New Zealand and other countries, thereby showing a commitment to treating all the citizens equally. Following 8 years of cutbacks and moratoriums on recruitment, we entered into the Lansdowne Road talks in May with an agenda on pay restoration. Some pay restoration was achieved through changes to the pension-related deduction and through direct increase in salary. This averages out as an increase of approximately $2,000 for each nurse over the lifetime of the agreement. Overall, there is a higher percentage increase for lower paid nurses. For those on $30,000, this equates to 7.1% over the lifetime of the agreement. From September this year, the pension levy will not apply to earnings below $28,750. A direct increase in salary applies as follows. The 1st of January 2016, annualised salary up to $24,000 will be increased by 2.5%. The 1st of January 2016, annualised salary from $24,000 to $31,000 increased by 1%. From the 1st of September 2017, annualised salaries up to $65,000 increased by $1,000. This is viewed as the first phase in the restoration of pay for those earning less than $65,000. Under Haddington Road Agreement, those earning over $65,000 will have the pay reductions restored in 2 equal phases. First phase, April 2017, second phase, January 2018. Other elements of the Lansdowne Road Agreement include no deferral of increments or sacrifice of annual leave, a grace period where public servants can retire under terms and conditions held prior to the Emergency Financial Act 2013, extended to April 2019. No increase in your registration fee of $100 to the expiry of the agreement. The establishment of an oversight body for non-Irish Congress Trade Union health sector unions. Agreement was reached for direct discussions to take place between nursing unions, the HSE, Department of Health, in relation to the pay rate for intern nurses and incremental credit for the 36-week internship. Following a ballot, our members accepted the agreement. I must emphasise that this is only the start of pay restoration, and with the economy continuing to grow, we are calling on the new government to continue the process of pay restoration by rescinding the FEMPI Act and the pension levy as a matter of urgency. Agreement was reached in late December to address the internship pay and incremental credit for our intern students. This is a welcome development. However, it only applies to the 2016 graduates. As outlined by the General Secretary yesterday, we will be addressing this inequity for the 2011 to 2015 graduates at every opportunity. In October 2013, under the Haddington Road Agreement, acting up as we knew it ceased as a part of the regularisation process. All acting up into higher posts for under 3 months now attracts no payment. In the event of an acting period over 3 months, the nurse was then placed on a specific purpose temporary contract at the first point of the scale for the promotional post as per Circular 17-2013. There was no agreement with the unions in relation to, and I quote, the assimilation that would apply for those appointed on a temporary basis to higher positions, in the quote. And the matter was referred to the LRC, which is now the WRC, the Workplace Relations Commission. Following a number of engagements, there was no agreement and the matter was referred to the Labour Court. The Labour Court hearing was held in December last. The Labour Court recommended that pre-existing arrangements for payment to staff temporarily assigned to higher duties continued to apply. In effect, that the same assimilation process applies for temporary appointments as it does for permanent appointments. For example, a staff nurse on the max of the scale at 42,754 prior to Circular 17-2013, acting up as CNM2 would receive an acting up allowance of 4,442 per annum. On the cessation of acting up, under Circular 17-2013, the staff nurse on the max of scale 42,754 temporarily assigned to CNM2 post will be assimilated to the first point of the CNM2 scale, which is 47,089, an increase of 4,335 per annum. Following the Labour Court recommendation number LCR 21104, the staff nurse on the max of the scale 42,754 temporarily assigned to CNM2 post will be assimilated to the sixth point of the CNM2 scale, that is, the pay on promotion max to max principle, which is 52,067, an increase of 9,313 per annum. As outlined, this is a very beneficial recommendation for our members, which has effectively doubled the payment of that which the HSE attempted to impose on us through Circular 17-2013. A significant win indeed, and I applaud Peter Hughes on that. We are awaiting the HSE circular to bring this recommendation into effect. The community allowance, which was a fundamental aspect of our move to a non-institutional based service, was taken from us on a whim in 2010 and withdrawn in 2010 and completely for new beneficiaries in 2012. There has been effort after effort to try to ensure its ultimate survival and reintroduction. We have used every opportunity to maintain its place on the national agenda and influence decision makers' opinions and ideas. We are deeply cognizant of the hardships imposed on our members in the community and the ramifications due to its demise. However, there was little sympathy from those with the power to bring about change. Our urgings and arguments were falling on deaf ears. We told them that the savings they expected were a fantasy, that it would greatly erode the service development in the community and lead to an entire generation of nurses being disenfranchised. As time has passed, our views have taken traction with many. The first being our Director of Nursing colleagues, who have called on its reversal due to the, I quote, significant service difficulties, end of quote, experienced due to its withdrawal, calling it, quote, at variance with policy direction. We believe we have gained support within the HSE and are confident that a silent majority exists in relation to its re-establishment. We had hoped that the momentum gained would be strong enough to establish a base for negotiations within the Lansdowne Road Agreement, but unfortunately this was not to be. Now we must turn the corner again. We have sought information from every branch regarding the allowance to use in a scoping exercise. This will be used to continue to fight and drive home our message. Colleagues, we now need to strive to achieve the result so desperately needed. Let us be under no illusion that time is not our friend. We cannot and will not ever be complacent in believing it will happen. We must make it so. If they ignore words, then we must measure our stick to achieve success. In our working lives, we face ever-changing challenges on a daily basis. From the moment we open the door in the morning until we close it behind us at night, we encounter the joy and, unfortunately, the utter sadness of what it means to be human. We are constantly there to fix the small problems and are our never-present support in helping our patients try to overcome the larger ones. All would recognise that the role of the nurse is tough. We have all had friends that have said to us, "I couldn't do your job," or questioned us on, "What's it really like?" To most, their only experiences have been gained from TV or media, which is often very lacking in its portrayal of reality. Certainly, what is not portrayed is the extreme emotional and psychological demands that we face ourselves, which can lead to impacting on our mental health. We have always attempted to counteract these difficulties with the support of our colleagues, watching out for each other and protecting each other from harm. As the saying goes, look after the family, and the family will look after everything else. Unfortunately, colleagues, the family is gone. The professionals that once stood shoulder to shoulder with us have gone. The support of the family has gone. Whether it be to a well-earned retirement or emigration, the result is the same. They are no longer there. Now, apart from all the challenges we face, there are fewer and fewer to face them with us. Our managers for years have had their hands tied by bureaucracy and moratoriums, while our politicians on both sides of the aisle have used mental health as a soundbite for how much they care for a much stigmatised group. They talk about seeking help, talking to someone and accessing services. What they don't mention is that when you do seek this help, that there are fewer and fewer nurses to help, less time to talk, and ever-decreasing services to access. Perhaps our leaders don't know enough. Perhaps they have not had the experience of seeing the difficulties personally. I say ignorance is no defence. We are facing a major nursing crisis. Our own analysis, which is in line with that of the Workforce Planning Department of the Mental Health Division, shows that at the start of 2015, there were 1,172 nurses working in the HSE who were 54 years or older. Some of these will have retired, and a significant number will retire in the near future. This is an alarming prospect. 290 psychiatric nursing students commence training each year. However, approximately 260 graduate each year. Even if they were all to remain in the country, this will still leave a drastic shortfall. Those new graduates who left the country due to the disgraceful way they were treated by the government with the introduction of the thankfully defunct graduate scheme and other pay cuts are unlikely to return in the immediate future. The Bring Them Home incentivised campaign generated 6 psychiatric nurses. The National Health Service in the UK also has a nursing shortage, with predicted shortages for this year of 190,000 nurses. I am sure they will be doing their utmost to retain these nurses. A reflection of our nursing crisis can be seen in the St. Eata's Portrane services, with 58 vacancies in the Intellectual Disability Service and 28 vacancies in the mental health service, and a projection of 12 retirements by the end of the year. The service is being propped up with overtime, agency, bank nurses, and few new recruits coming to the service, as is the case in many of our services throughout the country. This is unsustainable and needs to be addressed as a matter of urgency, as outlined by the General Secretary yesterday. Our politicians had no problem during the election campaign in using the issue of mental health to garner votes and raise awareness, yet we have heard these promises before. The cycle is never ending. We continue to be fed the lines, mental health is a priority of government and developed in line with vision for change. Terms so overused they have lost all meaning. Perhaps that is their purpose. When will we see our leaders face realities? The nurses aren't there because of the actions of our leaders. They were the ones to reduce the numbers in training, ignore the time bomb of retirements and reduce pay and conditions for new entrants to the extent of driving them away from our services. Far-flung shores being the beneficiaries of our best and brightest. Considering the volume of retirements and export of our graduates, our membership numbers remain quite stable. Our IFESA membership remains reasonably stable as we await the outcome of the appeal in relation to recognition. There is a steady growth in the NASRA membership. NASRA are constantly highlighting concerns with the National Ambulance Service, the poor condition of some of the ambulances, ambulance being delayed at emergency departments, where the patient must stay in the ambulance until a trolley is accessed. This is to be commended, as it is not only highlighting issues for the members, but also those which affect the wider community. And I applaud NASRA on that. For too long, our intellectual disability services within the HSE have been left under-resourced and lacking in swift and necessary service development. The varying differences across the service is staggering and remains an issue that's been ignored by successive governments. The congregated setting document published in 2011 envisaged a move away from institutional care within 6 years. With 1 year left in this plan, it is now certain to fail. Department of Environment figures confirming that only 90 of a target number of 300 individuals have been transferred into community settings in the past 2 years. The target of 4,000 over the lifetime of the policy is now completely unachievable. This has resulted in the continued degradation of existing services. The HSE has once again bitten off more than it can chew and has continuously ignored the realities of the situation. The Irish Times reported in September 2015 that the HSE had sought for the Department of Health to request HIQA to be required to take account of the HSE's lack of resources when issuing reports critical of individual homes. That's censorship. Suggesting that a targeted investment programme is established to resolve the issues. I ask you, colleagues, why has it taken 5 years to realise the obvious? Some of our members employed within Section 38 and 39 services are at the forefront of service development and progress, but others, including many HSE facilities, are years behind due to lack of investment and lack of resources. When will we see equality for our most vulnerable? When will those with the power to make change realise that lives matter over money? They will say that we must live within our resources. I remind them that just because your conscience is clear does not mean you are without sin. I call on the government to immediately finance the investment programme requested by the HSE so that all our citizens with disabilities are treated equally and that care is not subject to where you live or who runs your services, but only on what you need and how it must be achieved. We also need to do our part. Over several years, we have attempted to create links across our ID services. Mr. Liam Hamill, our ID rep, has worked tirelessly to build these bridges, catalogue services and the number of nurses associated with them. Unfortunately, this has been painstakingly slow due to the number of services involved, sometimes dozens per region. We would ask all members to do their part in identifying these areas so that the P&A can attempt to lead a new era of representation across the sector. We need to identify the challenges and drive the agenda forward, ensuring the development of nursing posts and specialities so desperately needed. Delegates, for the last number of years at our conferences, we have heard of the plight of the services in Galway, Roscommon, a combination of staffing and service delivery issues. The main issues highlighted by the UCHG branch last spring were units staffed by bed occupancy, not bed numbers. High observation unit commissioned in 2008 never opened. Unsustainable level of specials, with HCAs specialling on occasion. 36 assaults in the first 3 months of the year. No engagement by management. In late April last year, 10 nurses reported for duty but refused to take up duty under health and safety grounds as there were 4 specials and the complement was 5 nurses shot. Staff were threatened with disciplinary action. The nurses maintained their position, eventually taking up duty at lunchtime when the nursing complement was reached. An LRC was convened a week later. However, talks broke down due to HSE management threatening to sanction the 10 nurses. A ballot for industrial action up to and including strike was conducted and there was an overwhelming majority voted in favour. A work to rule commenced and a further LRC was convened in early June. An agreement was reached resulting in agreed staffing levels, the opening of the high-ob unit, all temporary and graduate nurses were made permanent, all promotional vacancies to be filled, employment of an additional 14 nurses, 7 of these at promotional grades. Other areas of concern were resolved with regard to specialling and application of the serious physical assault scheme, etc. The high observation staffing levels are being used as a template in many national discussions where new higher observation units are being proposed. I want to take this opportunity to applaud the branch for standing firm, and particularly the branch officers Damien Conlon, Caroline Tierney and Donna Long for their leadership and resolve in their endeavour to bring about a safer environment for both staff and patients. Well done. Well done. In recent times, we are experiencing other services refusing to engage with our branch officials and not abiding by the LRC Code of Practice. The management of St Patrick's Hospital have been refusing to engage with the local branch, one of our largest branches with over 250 members. The matter was referred to the Workplace Relations Commission, and following a number of conciliations, a framework for engagement has been agreed to resolve this impasse. In the Central Mental Hospital, Dundrum, management are not adhering to HSE policies, in particular grievance and disciplinary procedures. There is also breakdown engagement. The branch held an EGM last month to address these matters and invited the General Secretary Designate, Mr. Peter Hughes, to attend. However, the staff working at the gate were instructed not to permit entry to Peter. Our full-time officials have been attending meetings in the Central Mental Hospital for over 20 years and never before have they been locked out. Yeah. It was like me locking the doors here a while ago. There's none of you can get out. A ballot has been conducted with an overwhelming vote in favour to commence industrial action from the 21st of April. Conciliation under the auspices of the WRC is to take place next week, the 19th of April. Our General Secretary Designate, Peter, has since been permitted into the hospital. and maybe left in again even. Yeah. he was attending an EGM last week. Once again, we saw the HSE blatantly not abiding by their own policies in the Áras Tracta investigations. There was no agreement on the investigation team, and the appointed team then became the complainant, the investigator and the judge. The HSE attempted to merge the trust in care policy and the disciplinary policy. This would deprive our members fair procedure. Our General Secretary, Des, wrote to the HSE to meet in relation to our concerns, but received no response, and the matter was referred to the WRC. However, the HSE refused to engage. The matter was then referred to the High Court. I will not go into the details in this respect, as the General Secretary has done this in his report yesterday. The High Court's decision is a landmark decision, and once again this union has stood firm to ensure our members are treated fairly and in line with agreed procedures, and we will continue to do so. I want to take this opportunity to thank you, the delegates, branch officials and officer board, for all your hard work and commitment throughout the year. It is also the end of an era with our General Secretary, Mr. Des Kavanagh, delivering his last General Secretary's report. We will not say our goodbyes to Des at this stage, as he will still be with us at next year's conference, which will be in Carlow. I want to thank all our full-time staff for their tireless work throughout the year, and extend my best wishes to Elaine on the upcoming birth of a little brother or sister for Lucy. Finally, delegates, 100 years ago, on the 24th of April 1916, the visionaries of the day called for a complete transformation of Irish society as set out in the proclamation. The centenary of the Rising provides an opportunity for us all to reflect on those aims and ideals. This vision should remain the yardstick by which we measure the state of our society. The inequality being experienced by our citizens with mental illness and intellectual disability has been compounded by successive governments who decline to prioritise their needs and continue to slash the required budget year in, year out. Our student nurses and recent graduates are also victims to this inequality with regard to equal pay and opportunities being ignored by the powers that be. We must remain resolute and play our part in delivering that vision for both our members and the people we care for. Just an add-on. Delegates and fellow P&A members, in conclusion, I would like to thank Peter Hughes for his guidance and expertise in compiling this most comprehensive review. Thank you, Peter. Last year, I stated on the occasion of Seamus Murphy's retirement that we were losing an irreplaceable asset, and that the void created would be impossible to fill. Well, this year I must say that the loss of such a stalwart has certainly been cushioned. Why? Because of the foresight of the officer board, in conjunction with you, the delegates, and in conjunction with the full-time officials, to have a bidding-in process for those prospective replacements. This process is continuing with your blessing and has proven to be of continuing benefit to the organisation. The fruition of this will be seen fully when Peter takes up the position of General Secretary in the near future. The leap from IRO to General Secretary is huge. But thankfully, the immense bank of knowledge and experience that both Des and Seamus have developed and delivered and gathered over the years of sterling service to the P&A, they will always be an intrinsic part and value to us, and particularly to Peter in his upcoming role. I would like to thank them for continuing to be available to us, and they do continue to be available to us, and words of wisdom are always welcome. And I want to thank the full-time officials for giving freely of their always welcome and wise advice. I would also like to mention Michael Hayes for his ongoing commitment and dedication to the organisation and his blossoming as a full-time industrial relations officer. Another very positive development has been the performance of our very first female industrial relations officer, Caroline Briley. She has won the respect of those she has represented. You can ask for no more than that. I must congratulate the interview board for the wisdom of their selection. And I'm looking forward earnestly to see what they put for us and put before you at their next selection process, which is currently, the closing date is tomorrow evening. Today's Friday. I'm missing a day. I'm missing a day. I wonder where it went. And I hope that the new incumbent, the new IRO, will be on a par with what we have now and in the past. One more piece. Our continuing commitment to education and continuing professional development are in safe hands with Aisling Culhane, who is to the forefront of progressing our profession. Her linking with the Royal College of Surgeons of Ireland and her appointment to her ASO board are most welcome and indicative of the esteem she's held in, and I wish her well in her roles. For Elaine and Paula, I wish to convey our deep appreciation. They are our frontline peacekeepers and the first point of contact for the majority of our members. They continue to soothe and calm frayed nerves, both in the office and on the end of the phone, and long may they continue to do it. And we support them fully as they support us, and I want to thank them.